Yeah, we've been seeing that a lot with these like kind of just gapper plays. It's like if they're not clean, they just roll like right off into, they roll right back off. I think Mogo does look a little bit better, so I would roll with that for sure. That's a good list for you, buddy. Let me see. CLVS. The issue with this one is it's just not clean. It's already fading off. It's really going to depend on how it holds up here. Morning team. What's going on in the hood? Yes, we got a little bit of a gap up in the market, which is actually probably ideal. We had a big fade. We had a big fade off. We had a big fade off yesterday, but it wasn't like an easy trade yesterday just because, the market gapped down so much that we ended up like really just chopping around, till the close where you ended up with like, a fairly nice flush. But like in that, not even the midday, it was really from the morning till 3 p.m. I mean, you were just in a chop zone, and it was a really tight chop zone. It wasn't... it wasn't the most ideal. It wasn't the most ideal scenario. I thought it was a tricky time to trade. So like now what happens today, this makes things a little bit more, tricky, of course. There's going to be a couple aspects of it. If we get a morning push back into like, say, this type of range, I think we probably try to do a Friday fade on some of these names. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean it may not happen because we've really just been getting kind of like, we're not necessarily like downtrending. We're more stuck in a range, right? We've been at the exact same price, today as we were, a month ago, give or take. And so, it is common to get like a nasty day and then like an up day and a nasty day and an up day. That's kind of range trading in a nutshell. There is like a lot of still like this kind of interest rate hoo-ha. Ryan, you can read the news on TC 2000. There's some good services out there like Trade the News, but in general, like if you want fast news, you got to pay for it, and it's pricey. It's pricey, so that's like the issue with it. I get all the basic news I need from TC 2000. If I need to like look something up, I'll just look it up on Twitter. But in general, like, most of the guys in our chat room, like there's guys in our chat room that just post news all day. So I think that's how I get all my news. I just wait for one of them to post it. Now, in terms of today, I think we're probably going to have another chop day, but at least we're not getting a big gap up. Now, the S&P is down a little bit, but it is coming down into support. Now, these things have been moving kind of in the opposite of each other a little bit. We'll have to see kind of how this dichotomy plays out. Ryan, it's awesome, but I personally wouldn't pay for it. I mean, you ever see Indian person pay for stuff like that? It depends how much money you're making. If you're making 50 grand a month or 100 grand a month, then, paying $200 for like a news service, not a big deal. If you're making $1,000 a month, then paying $200 for a news service is just bad business. Man, this is going to be real tricky, guys. I know yesterday was a little bit frustrating. We'll see how it goes. I mean, my gut feeling is we may have to play for the green to red, and we take some of these things down for a hot second. But in the meantime, like beyond this, so, this is just sitting in a range, but you are under the EMAs. Anytime the market's under the 50 SMA, you tend to, get a lot of gaps. So that is something to just kind of be mindful of. We're going to have to play both ways. I don't know what else to tell you. I wish I had a better crystal ball. Now, on the other side of things, there are some news plays that have been running. You guys have probably seen like the NFTs and stuff going, and you already see like some gaps on some of these stocks like Zkin. This is like an NFT company, but what I don't like is like they're fading off these gaps right now. If you had they're fading off some of these things. They're fading off some of these things hard, but like some of them are really. Have really been cooking. So if you look at like Pet the Cat art. This thing was $3 and went to $40, but the range on it has been really nice to trade. But this is the kind of stuff that you can just lose your lunch on a Friday. Who knows how this thing opens up? But I think we do have to keep a look on all the NFTs. On Fridays, oftentimes, you may get like a little bit of what we'd call like a sector run on some of these names. It's like, I haven't updated this list. There was one we were supposed to add, wasn't there? I think. Let me see here. There was one we were supposed to add on this, but let's take a look at like the whole list of these bad boys. See if there's anything that's juicy. So you got this Zkin. That's in a breakout, but it is fading off. It is fading off a lot in the pre-market. We'll have to see if this thing starts to round its way back. The volume accumulation on this has been actually pretty fantastic. I think that's probably could be a play. Funko's a little bit more steady. But you have like a nice kind of high type flag over here. So you went from 13 to 20. You've consolidated now with the 9 EMA catching up. Frankly, like something like this could be, this could be like if they start to go, that could be a little bit more of a slow and steadier one. We got Sino here. This one faded off its gap the whole way. So I don't think that's really in play for us today. OCJ was nasty yesterday too. This thing got up to 17. Man, we were shredding this thing for a couple days. And then this thing got to 17, came all the way back down. Now it may need a little bit of rest, but I think probably, the key is going to be like if you look at more like, 30-minute chart. This 9-ish level, so I would say like between 9 and 950. If that level holds, you may still get some little action on this one. Pong, this is Atari. This is more of like a swing trade. YVR. Yeah, see, like this YVR looked like it could have been hot. You had a big weekly breakout on this at 360, and it got rejected over there, and it broke back under, which is not an ideal thing. It doesn't actually mean that the setup is totally negated because. This is a weekly candle. The weekly candle is not done yet, right? It'll be done today. So if you kind of remount back over the 350s, I think this will come back in play. You can see the monster cock volume that's been pushing up on this. I wouldn't get in front of this. This would be only if, the whole sector starts to run. And you got this IPNF. This is like this is more of an OTC type of stock. It looks okay. It looks like the best out of the groups right now is probably, Zkin and Funko. And then, we can use OCJ as like a daily trader, meaning, we can shred this thing back and forth a little bit, and then we'll see, what's going on. But none of them are, it's not picture perfect because they had some nasty little fades on them, but we'll see what's going down. I keep Zkin and Funko on the list. OCJ is just a nice trader in general, but it looks like, it could go either way today. We don't necessarily know, but hold on. I'll grab you the list. We'll see what's going on with these things. The other thing is it is Friday. You know what that means. You don't want to be just getting cooked on a Friday. Definitely don't want to get cooked on a Friday. Let's take a look and see if there's any other kind of good earnings plays that are running around here. FSR warrants, huh? Let me see. So FSR's got a PR out. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Then Monica's gonna get too excited. So FSR's got a pullback PR out. It looks like the warrants are popping. The stock itself is popping. It's had a pretty orderly pullback. You're going from 32 down to 20. That is, probably 30-40% pullback in general. And you're right back into that old breakout spot. Frankly, I think this one probably has some play today if the market holds up. these kind of speculative names have not been, they haven't been the easiest trades, and with the NASDAQ just getting its, butt kicked every day. But this has got, especially if it remounts these two MAs here, so it's like, which is right there. I think this one will have a chance. I would add that to the list if it sets up for an ORB or a quick pullback buy. FSR tends to always do better on the first pull than ORB. It shakes out on ORBs quite a bit. So that'll be something to just kind of be mindful of. CLVS, my uncle's just asking me about this thing too. CLVS, this one is a little bit tricky because the location on the daily chart is like a little bit under these two resistance points. We'd really need to see this thing kind of form up before it does anything. And also, this stock is just like a monstrous turd. It's got 5 million shares in volume. I think it could be a potential, but it's also, frankly, a potential to fade off. It's a tweener right now. I would have rather seen this thing hold up here. We'll have to keep an eye on this one, and it'll need to be like, it'll have to have a picture-perfect intraday pattern to really see if, I wouldn't be surprised if it just folds off, but we can, just due to the location on the daily. Let's take a look. IMTE, chunk. Hold on here. Boom. Yo, so this MP's been actually holding up pretty well here. You got about a 6%, give or take, gap in the morning. You got a nice location on this, and frankly, if you notice, like the chatter in the market's like inflation. So usually, like when there's a lot of inflation, right, the price of commodities go up like crazy. This is a rare earth metal company. It's been on a monster trend. It had earnings after hours. If you look over here, earnings surge as revenue doubles. So this may actually have a chance. Now, there's a couple things. This has been probably since we've been doing boot camp, right? So we're on boot camp 51. We're on boot camp 51. This has probably been the first earnings season since we've been doing these boot camps, right? Where there's been like really very few hot earnings plays. Like yesterday there was UPST, but that was like the only one we've seen in like forever. Usually during earnings season, I mean, it's like a nonstop snatch parade where you're just like rolling in it. And this year, like, the gaps haven't been holding on a lot of them. It's the first time I've seen it in, nearly a decade. So we'll have to take this with a grain of salt and just see if it can start to hold. You got a nice trend line break that's been setting up here. I keep an eye on this like kind of 44, 45 level. If it ORBs over this level, I think we'll be in a good shot. If the market holds, over that level. I mean, if the stock can kind of push an ORB over there. But I do like the overall look of it. Yeah, I think that one looks a little bit better than, some of the other ones that are kind of rolling around. Yeah, the market's already fading off a little bit here. You can see this thing. If I could turn back time. They don't make it easy, do they? They don't make it easy sometimes. Yeah, I was hoping for the green to red, and now they don't even want us to do the green to red. We'll see what's going up. I'll keep an eye on it while we're chatting here. So MP, I do like it. SOS. Look, this SOS was kind of holding up here, and you do have it's just not a good market right now for it's not really a good market for small caps. It's just been a little bit weird. Yeah, they've been you can see you had this monster pop, and then Bitcoin's been holding up, but it just didn't have the juice. It just didn't have the juice. So we'll see. I'm not too keen on these kind of stocks today. I think it's going to be a little bit more tricky. Fedex, this is not sexy, but you do have a nice little breakout that's happening over here. They got blowout earnings over here. Looks good. Focus turns to blah, 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 blah. It's not actually that thick. Only a 200 billion share float. I wouldn't be surprised to see this thing in the next few weeks probably drift its way towards 300. This could actually, this could work. This could work. I would add that. I would definitely add that. I know some of you guys been diving deep into the dumpsters on these OCJs and stuff, but this thing probably can work. I keep that on your list. XNet, chunk. Yeah, so we were in this E-bond yesterday. Actually, we had a nice trade on it, and it faded the whole move off. I think it's still all these Bitcoin stocks are still in place. So E-bond, Mara, they're all holding up. They're just daily traders at this point, but you are getting real close to a breakout spot. I think, man, we've got levels to trade around. The issue has been more on the overall market has been very up and down. Meaning you're getting if they dip down, you are getting really nice squeezes. The range has been hot. You just gotta be, I guess, careful. The selling is coming into it, and there's nothing we can do on that aspect of things. Yeah, I think we still keep these on the list. I think we keep these on the list. But what we have to, what's going to be tricky today is because the range was so big yesterday. When you're stuck in between the previous day's range, you can end up with a lot of chop. And what I mean by that is, all right, so the old high from yesterday, 67, the low is 59, and you're smack dab right in the middle. That can often lead to choppy trading, unless you get some real clear intraday patterns. So you have to be really careful. When you're day trading, stocks, if you are right smack dab in the previous day's range, man, anything can happen. Anything can happen. And so they're not always, if you ever notice really, really clean breakouts, they're almost always when they break over the previous day's range and they have really nice daily charts. That's usually when you get the easiest trade. And same thing on the vice versa, right? If you were looking to short something, and when you have it break under the previous day's range, and then you're getting good intraday patterns, then you're good to go. But otherwise, you're going to be otherwise you could be in a real kind of shit box on these things. So just something to be mindful of. But they are good traders for us. We've been flipping them back and forth. On the short side, the margin stinks, so it's not you can really get too crazy with them. But we'll see, we'll see what's going on. Dun, 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 dun. Uh-oh, Jason showing up. What's going on, bro? CPE. So some of these oil stocks, man, they got so extended. I don't know if they're ready for play just yet. I'd probably let them pull back even a little bit more. Dun, dun, dun. Jump. Look at Pet the Cat just cruising around every day. Pet the Cat is a little bit trickier. If you saw this thing possibly push through at some point, maybe, but it's a risky trade for a Friday. That's the type of trade that really ruins your lunch right there. Hey Tiff, what's going on? Roblox, junk. All right, well, let's just get into this on the other side. So, we've got a couple earnings plays that are holding up here. We got FDX. This Mongo Bongo has been okay. Its breakout is 1170. I would see if we start to push its way through that and bust over 1170, I think we're okay. If it doesn't, then we got to leave it alone. And the reason I say that is that a lot of these kind of gappers, this looked like it had okay news. Luminar Technologies raises sales guidance, blah, 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 blah. But what happens is, it just runs right into resistance and it fades off. And that's also, the type of market that we're in where there's a lot of liquidation type of action. So you got to be careful with this Mogo because it's stuck under the resistance. You don't want this thing to just take a dump on you. Same thing with FSR. Like it's going to have to be just picture perfect. And same thing with MP, right? I think this is probably the best one out of the group, but we'll see what's going on. Now, if we need some shorts today, JMIA was in the dumper yesterday, down about 14-15%. You're open up about 2% today. If the market fades off, I think we go green to red on this one. We slam it on the red roll. You're right. You can do SQ2 if you need like a little bit higher price stock. Same pattern as the NASDAQ. So if the NASDAQ fades off, you can do SQ. And it's got actually pretty good range on this bad boy. I would roll with that too. Good, Jason. So we got SQ, JMIA. We've been doing pretty well in this PDD every day. This 141 has been like a rock, right? Yesterday it was like, it tested at the open, but it's just kind of a little bit of a two-tapper. Now you kind of goosing and gandering it again. If it breaks over under this 141, hey, Chang, what do you want to do with Airy? Long or short? If it breaks under 141, we're coming in hot on this thing. Be mindful of the spreads. Like oftentimes the spread is like 30, 40 cents. When you're trading, like you really got to anticipate the breakdowns a little bit. Like you can't wait for somebody else to be like, hey guys, I'm short this. You got to come in, right, with the plan. You got to know your levels. Like if you're waiting for me to say, hey, I'm short, you'll always be the last man to the gangbang. You'll be shorting, and I'll have 2,000 shares, and I'll be like, cover, 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 and then you'll be coming in like, whoa, I just got in. You got to anticipate these levels. Keep alerts at these certain levels. Like if you're on TC1000, if you just right-click, you can set an alert. It'll text you. It'll do all that kind of fun stuff. Look at this thing. You can text. I even have it go email my friends and stuff too. That way I don't miss anything. So the butt dog gets a text. His email gets a text. I get an email. That way I never miss anything. So now I know, like, now you're good, right? So then if it starts to get, near my levels, I can go in. And, usually I won't do text alert for like a day trade, but, there's a lot of like stocks like that we look at on the daily charts, right? Where there's big levels. And so like what we want to be doing is like setting those alerts, into those spots. So you can see here, you got all this stuff that you can put in, as many emails and texts as you want. A gong is like a nice way to do it. Applause is nice too. So you can do that, and you don't even have to do it right at the trend line. You can just pick a level and right-click that level, create price alert, and then you can put in like, okay, restart this alert when it triggers, blah, blah, blah. And then, use your settings properly, and you'd be good to go. So that's a good way to just make sure you get them. Tyler, mine work. I don't know about the extended hours, but during the day, I get them at all walks of life. So I think this one looks actually pretty good. We got room down to about 122. It's looking pretty hot. Dun, 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 dun. Now, if we need some longs, right? If the market rips, this Boeing has got a nice breakout pullback to the 9 EMA. You're just sitting on some support over here. If the market starts to rip back, or the Dow starts to rip back, and we need some Dow type of stocks, it's gonna be hot. This could be hot. So I would keep that one definitely on the list. A lot of these reopening plays have pulled back. So you got Airbnb, you sit at 216, you pulled back into a nice spot in the 190s, right? You got it was getting very extended. Now you probably make your way back. If it can hold this level, probably make its way back into the 215 spot. So you could go in like some of these things, right, have all pulled back, into some nice locations. So Boeing, Airbnb, RCL, we can use those as reopening plays. We've got, let's do our buckets. We've got reopening plays. Then we've got our NFT stocks. You know it, buddy. Correct. We got our reopening plays, we got our NFT stocks, we got our Bitcoin stocks, and then we've got these earnings plays. FTX, Mogo Bogo, possibly FSR, possibly CLVS, possibly MP. I think that's a good solid list. Yeah, free mind. This is like, when people ask me like why a stock goes up. It's like, it's the only answer worth giving. Hey Terry, how you doing? What are you guys all watching? Let me see. You're right. Skills looks like a breakdown too. Damn. Now this has got an offering at 224, so there might be a little bit of a floor on it. Just something to be mindful of. When the markets are moving around a lot too, like, the NASDAQ was down 3%, you could trade the general index. Like there's TQQ, ETF. We used to trade this thing all the time. But like if you see like a dump coming in the market, you can whip out the TQQ. It's got good enough range, $7. Yeah, it's got good enough range, $7, so you can roll in with an ETF or something like that. Hey Jordan, what's up, baby? FCX is probably another one that, it might take a little bit of time. I think it probably just needs a little bit of juice. It looks all right. Airy does look like kind of a bleeder. This does look like a bleeder too. Hey Chang, that's, you're breaking those IPO lows too. That's a pretty good find. Good. Yeah, Danny, Jason got it for me. That's pretty cool. I can be bought with gifts. Yo, Yala Honda, what's up, baby? Yala is in a nice location. I think if the market holds, this is probably something, you've got that push. And then now you've got a nice little consolidation here. I think the key is just going to be, is the market going to hold up for these kind of a little bit more speculative names? Yo, UPST was the heat. Man, this is a big miss on my end. I didn't see it on the gapper list for some reason. I didn't see it for some reason. You can put it on watch for a day two. I think as long as it holds like kind of 105 to 100 zone. A lot of times when they use up this much range, it may be a little bit tricky like the next day. You'll probably have to have like a really clean pattern. But I mean, it could go red to green. Like it had some volume yesterday. There was a big spread on it, and when you get a big spread on these stocks, you just have to be a little bit careful with your sizing. What I mean by that is like, you don't want to roll in like, say you normally were going to do 500 shares or 200 shares, whatever it might be, you got to go in half size. Spreads are, like I like stocks with a little bit of a spread because they just move better. So you got to, stocks with spreads are okay. They move a lot better. You're costing yourself a lot of money, if you're like anti-spread, but you do have to be careful with the sizing. Good. Yeah, I missed it too. I stared at it all day. I just missed it. I saw it pull back to the VWAP and it was like holding and holding and holding. And I was like, and the spread, and I was like looking at it. My natural inclination is just to get so balls deep on a play like this. that if the spread is a little bit too wide, I gotta be just a little bit. I'd add it to the list, frankly. It had some heat yesterday. I don't know if it does a day two. It may dump off a little bit at the opening. It was up like 100% yesterday. We'll see what goes down. You know, when you get a larger price stock, sometimes if they're up that much, you may have just a little bit of chop at the open, and then it starts to like kind of creep up later in the day. Ronak, what's going on? BHP, this is another one that is probably a little bit of a bleeder. It's probably a little bit of a bleeder. I don't know. I think you've got probably some other plays. Yeah. We'll see. Guys, this is going to be this is a tricky market. There's no getting around it. When you get the market under, your major moving averages, you're going to get a lot of chop. But then, what's different than, a lot of years is that, like you have the Dow, it's breaking out. And you have the SPY, and it's been breaking out. So you have like a little bit of right? You're crossing swords, essentially. You're crossing swords with your ugly best friend. And it's weird. Like, you don't really know. Like, should I do this or not? Right? Should I do this or not? And that's where you're getting a little bit of this choppiness. And also we're getting just a lot of gaps every day. Like yesterday's gap. You get a 1.5% gap, it makes it almost untradeable. Like, yeah, usually when you get a big gap day, you'll get one quick shred at the open, and then that's it. You get one quick shred at the open, and then that's it. And then, the rest of the day, really, we were kind of, like you're scalping around just trying to catch, right? You're just trying to catch, some hot 1 hour trends, 30-minute trends, whatever you can get. Until we kind of resolve this, I think it's a no swing trading environment personally. Like I personally wouldn't do it just because you're gonna have so many gaps. Like you can do it, but then you need different sectors. Like you could swing trade in this market, but you have to be so diversified. It's like, okay, I'm gonna need an airline stock. I'm gonna need a oil stock, I'm going to need a short, and I'm going to need this. And it's like, that just sounds like a lot of work. It sounds like a lot of work. So for me, no. And plus also, if I'm swing trading and there's 1.5% gaps, I'm going to lose my lunch when I wake up in the morning. I just can't, I'm too old. I don't like that kind of stuff. I don't like that kind of funny business, if you know what I mean, D-Mac. All right, we got our list, all right? Let's make sure out of those gappers, MP, FDX, Mongo Bongo's probably the one I feel the least confident on, and CLVS, but we'll see what's up. FSR, FSR's been our baby, so we'll see, but I'd be surprised if that one holds up too. The gaps have not been holding well on more speculative names. They may, though. Look, I thought that, the other day, I thought crowd would just roll over, right? And it flew for a couple hours. Good. Important that you kind of rank your plays, guys. Rank your plays. Always rank your plays. Dun, 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 dun. Good. Danny, the open, so word to the wise, the open has been very hard. For years, the open has been my sweet spot, and I always lose money end of day. I would say the last 8-9 days, I've been losing money at the open, and it's been making it during the lunch and the afternoon. Good. All right, that's the list. I'm sticking to it. Remember, keep that alert around PDD at 141. We may just get a quick couple points here. All right, let's do this.